Welcome to The Pull Bag. Join us as we dig out our latest comics and discuss them with the rotating panel of the GCRN crew. So sit back and enjoy this week's Pull Bag.
Ah, brave new world that has such putzes in it.
Relax! Enjoy the ride!
Hello and welcome to the debut episode of the Pull Bag. What is the Pull Bag, you ask? It is the GCRN's brand new premiere comic book podcast. And it will be featuring a rotating panel of hosts from the Geekcast Radio Network. Whether it be myself, Mike, Kevin, Beta, JT, Mike Powers, or anybody else that feels like they would like to cover something on this show. It's basically so that we can split it off from the regular Geekcast Radio podcast, have it be on its own thing so that we can cover other geeky items on that show. And because, let's face it, most of us have gotten back into comics, so it gives us a nice little outlet on this show.
Yes, that's right. This all started, and again, this is all Steve's fault.
It is, because I received, and for review, the Court of Owls, the Batman issue 13, which was the beginning of the Death of the Family line in the Batman universe, the DC universe. Anybody tied to Batman pretty much was hit full force with it. And I wrote my review, I did my YouTube video. My rants and raves about this comic got Mike and several other people intrigued about it. Yeah. And they went out and picked it out. And then they were like, oh my God. Oh my Lord. And then, everybody had to pick it up, and then So from there, it kind of birthed a resurgence in our comic fandoms, and we had to cover it on Geekcast Radio. We just had to, and once we covered we've already covered the final episode
of Death of the Family.
Of the Family at this point. So, please go back to the Geekcast Radio episodes and listen to that. But we will be continuing on in this show with all of our favorites. Like for you, for instance, have Nightwing.
I have Nightwing, Batgirl, and Batman.
And I have Batman and Detective Comics, and then I'll have random Bat Family stuff sprinkled in there somewhere because I'm thinking I'm going to get Batman Beyond and maybe some other different lines. Just depends, because let's face it, comic prices are expensive at this point in time.
Yeah,
I used to collect them when they were $1.25, or more so $1.75. But
I remember $1.25 comics. I
have some that were $1.25, or I did. But
the ones. Okay, here's how I see this breaking down. At least for myself, Steve and I will cover the Bat books. Just like we've been doing on GCR with Death of the Family, we're going to continue covering those here in the Pull Bag. I, along with either JT or someone else, will be covering Superior Spider-Man. So far, there are 4 issues coming out of that continuation or new storyline of Spider-Man over at Marvel. I will also be covering the Iron Man 3 Preludes. I'll probably just do that solo. I think Optimus Solo and I will be doing some Transformers stuff. The main thing about the Pull Bag, ladies and gentlemen, is we're focusing on current comics that we're reading, but we're also going to have back issue specials or back issue files or whatever we decide to call it or whatever. We will have episodes that we talk about, like if Steve and I get together and talk about The Killing Joke, or if we talk about Gates of Gotham, or if we talk about Nightfall or Dark Knight Returns or any of those classic things. There will be back issues, but the main focus of the podcast is current and new upcoming comics. I will also have a crew that will be reviewing the new Masters of the Universe ongoing coming up in April from DC. So, as Steve said, pretty much anybody that we know that is in our circle of podcasters, whether it's Mike Powers and his crew, whether it's Art Danner and myself, or whether it's whomever, can talk about comics if they want to. We each have our own stuff that we're reading, and everybody reads different stuff, and I think it'll be interesting to hear multiple opinions on different things. So it's not just the same two hosts every episode. It's not, yeah, I mean, granted, with me, because I read so much now at this point, because Steven Spada sucked me back into comics. Granted, I might be the one consistency on most episodes, but you're going to hear a multitude of other opinions besides just the regular GCRN crew. It's going to be all-encompassing with the people that we associate with. As far as the format goes, we're going to do a less than 5-minute introduction in a regular episode. We will do a segment called What We Are Reading, or What We Are... other comic interests, is I think comic interests or something we're supposed to call it. That's where we're going to talk about stuff that we aren't reading that we want to read. Like I have yet to read Batman Gates of Gotham, where Dick Grayson is Batman. I want to read that. I know, have not read The Killing Joke. I want to read that.
Hey,
so
that's all right. I haven't either.
Yeah, that's what comic interest is going to be. The stuff that we want to get into that we haven't yet. And then we're going to cover anywhere from 2 to 6 issues per podcast. Not saying it's going to be 6 issues all the time, but specifically for me with Superior Spider-Man, JT and I are going to record our thoughts on issues 1 and 2, and that'll be one podcast. Issues 3 and 4 will be another. 5 and 6 will be another. Sometimes, the reason why I said 2 to 6 issues is because with Steve and I, not counting Batman because we both read Batman, Batgirl, Nightwing, Detective, Batman and Robin? Are you still reading that or no?
No.
Okay. What's Batman Beyond.
Yeah.
Okay, so Batman, Batgirl, Nightwing, Detective, and Batman Beyond. That's 5 issues. Now, these are essentially going to be short bursts of discussion. Maybe 15, 20-minute discussions on each of these books, each issue. So say when we get to Bat Books 18 later on in March, say we spend 10 minutes on Nightwing or 10 minutes on Batgirl or 15 minutes on Batman. So the episode length will be somewhere around an hour 30, hour 15, maybe an hour 45. After the discussions, after all the issues are reviewed, we'll have an ad break, and then we'll come back with the closing of the show where we talk about what we're looking forward to the next time around, or the next episode, or the next issue, or whatever else. So that's what it's going to be. It's going to be our own unique take on podcasts, or on a comic review podcast, and I'm really excited for it because it's like just some of the stuff that's going on in comics right now, at least some of the stuff that I'm reading, it's like I have to talk about this. Holy crap.
Well, and the thing about the new comics and the new 52 or the new Marvel Now, the art and the writing are just infinitely better, depending on what line you read, infinitely better than a lot of the older stuff that came out years ago or even just a few years ago. And especially with the Bat books, and even Spider-Man's kind of coming into his own. Spider-Man and Batman are both getting extremely dark.
Yeah.
And it makes for an interesting read, and then not only that, but the art is so perfect in modern comics compared to the old days of comics where it looks like it's drawn on leftover newspaper, and the new stuff is so colorful and crisp that you can't put it down because it looks so good.
Like I said back in GCR Special Batman 13, I was it's a combination of the writing, the art, the drawing, the coloring, the pencils, the ink, everything. Every single thing that each contributor does, the writer, the artist, however many different colorist, penciler, what, it's a combination of all those things. When I read Batman 13 and I got to that last page, I almost couldn't talk for like 4 hours after that because my jaw was still glued to the floor. So it's that kind of thing. If that one comic can make me pick up and start reading more comics, and as I've said before, I never hated comics. I just never got into them. I wasn't a kid that was into comics. I had read. I honestly think it was somewhere around 89 or 90 maybe. I honestly think my mom found The Dark Knight Returns or so. I remember reading a very dark Batman graphic novel, and the book was huge, and I couldn't make it. I couldn't read all the way through it. It was so dark and just so. I don't remember what Batman book it was, and it was fine, and as I said before, and when I was 14, 15, 94, 95, I was reading Spider-Man and Iron Man because back then those cartoons were on and all that. So yeah, this is going to be a fun little journey for us.
Yes, and you guys get to be along for the ride.
That's right.
So with that, I think we've pretty much covered everything for this intro episode 0. So I will now throw it to the outro, and we'll see you in episode 1.
That's just a phone, Hulk. If it's President Roosevelt, tell him I'm not here. Go ahead, answer it.
Ring.
Hulk, I believe Captain America is suggesting you answer the phone with words.
What phone what? Phone loud, but Hulk louder! Hulk loudest there is!
Come here. I'm the best there is at what I do, and what I do can't be imitated, copied, cloned, or used without the express written permission of the Superhero Squad and Marvel Entertainment, LLC. Batteries not included. All rights reserved. Terms, conditions, restrictions apply. We clear, bub.
Yes, sir.
Check those dudes out. Dudes, nuts. They're robots. Robots? Let's rock!
Yo, Joe!
By the power of Grayskull.
For the honor of Grayskull.
You just heard the latest episode of The Pullbag, GCRN's comic book review podcast. There are several ways to get in touch with us and leave feedback for the show. You can visit the website, geekcastradio.com, where you can comment on the episode and all of our different podcasts. You can rate our show on iTunes and be sure to leave us feedback. Call the voicemail line, 502-526-5821. Please remember to tell us the show you were leaving the message for and your name. Become a fan of us on Facebook by searching Geekcast Radio Network. You can send us an email, feedback@geekcastradio.com. Follow us on Twitter @GeekCastRadio. So until next time, unleash the geek in you.